All right. Here we are.
Once again.
Once again, dear friends. Welcome.
It's the
Once
boys.
again. It's the
There
boys.
will be the boys.
There will
Boys
be,
will be the boys. Yes.
Yeah. Something like that. We're now on episode 3 of season 3, which is called Barbary Coast, which delves a bit more, continues all the threads that we've been following, but also we get a pretty good chunk of it. Kind of focuses on a flashback sequence. That what's her name? The boys is like boss lady. I forgot
Grace.
what her name is. Mallory. That's it.
Yeah.
Detailing like her experience with payback in Nicaragua back in like the 80s, which is cool. You get a lot of cool a lot of like details about like these side characters that don't know much about so far, as well as like a pretty good impersonation of Giancarlo Esposito, who's the young Stan Edgar. I thought that guy was really good. And some, I guess, like I'm not the origin story of Black Noir, but you get to see how he ended up how he is nowadays, which is very interesting. That's a pretty, and I know I said this before, that the show is like pretty different from the comics, but the whole Black Noir thing is like so integral to the comic that it's really interesting how that's just kind of completely off the books in the show.
I remember you telling me about that. I remember you telling me that like there's something up with Black Noir. There's like there's something under the mask that's like really, really important. And so when we got to it, I guess
all right, in the show he's just like, it's just him. He's
a
just,
dude.
Yeah, he's just a guy. Yeah.
See, I thought I couldn't tell if that dude lived or not.
The Black Noir character.
Yeah, for some reason I thought maybe like he died and then someone else took on the role of Black Noir, and that's the Black Noir that we see today.
No, well, I mean, okay, possible, but I'm pretty sure there's a part where he because I think that was kind of explaining away why he is mute and just kind of a mindless drone now. And also, I'm pretty sure there's a part where he's either in a fight or you just see him like take off his his mouth, and you see like his like scarred up face like that. You just see like his mouth.
Gotcha.
It's like
it
looks like that. Yeah. But yeah, that like all of that under it, that's like it's different. It's that's something I'm not sure which version I like more. Because it does play a very major thing in the comics that is obviously just, unless they're doing some very selective editing and storytelling and it's gonna do it how it is in the comics, it's not gonna happen in the show.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely saw on Reddit someone posted about like, well, you got Better Call Saul. If they ever wanted to do an origin story of Gus, they should just cast this guy to play like younger Gus Fring, because even the way that he spoke, he even had the same mannerisms of how Gus speaks. Like it was like,
he was really good.
He nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, this I liked this episode a lot as well. Because not only do you get that flashback stuff, but you start getting it feels like it's like this season so far is incorporating more comic elements than like any of the seasons before, because we also meet little Nina, who is also like a little different, I guess. I'm glad they're not making her like as over the top, because she was one of those. She's in the comics is a good example of that. Like, yeah, over the top, like edgy for the sake of being edgy elements of it.
It's kind of coming back to me. Isn't she like child size?
Yeah, and she like
she has like sex toys or like dildos and shit, right?
Yeah,
it's
that are like as big as her or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. It's just,
yeah.
That's one of those things that it's like, yeah, oh wow. Dildos. Cool.
Cuz I remember I was like watching this and I was like, "Oh, no, I read the comic. She's supposed to be like little, right?" But that's probably a better call to not make her a child looking.
Yeah.
Because was that like a thing? Like she would like lure men in who were like pedophiles or whatever, and then kill them. Or I'm not sure if that was like a subplot.
That, but I'm not sure about maybe. I'm not sure.
It sounds like something that they would do, but yeah.
Okay.
The other sequence that, I really enjoyed the Nicaragua, like the CIA flashback. And I couldn't help but laugh, and it was very depressing in some ways too, because other than the superhero element about it, pretty much all of that is true. Like the CIA trafficking cocaine and then selling them to like marginalized neighborhoods. It was like, again, this is on Amazon, so like. How much power does it really have? But it's like that's pretty heavy stuff that like a lot of people either don't care about or like don't know about, like the shit that like overthrowing governments and like drug trades and just like secret coups and all of that shit. I'm like, god damn, they did their homework and they're like going all in on like all of that shit, like Iran Contra and like all of that. So I was like, haha, it's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
Very Watchmen-y, almost. I don't know, the way that, like, Nixon is in Watchmen, and just, like, the idea of... I kind of like that idea of, like, not rewriting history, because I feel like in some superhero movies, the president is just some guy. But the fact that it's, like, Ronald Reagan was the president, and the idea of Ronald Reagan, like... Oh yeah, we gotta send these superheroes over to Nicaragua. Like that kind of shit is funny.
Yeah.
Also, they mentioned that Grace Mallory had it was like, behind Butcher's talking about her safe that he broke into, and it's like behind your framed photo of Bush 1, which George Herbert Walker Bush was the head of the CIA. So of course, she has a painting of George H.W. Bush in her office.
Yeah. Back in the present, well, almost present, I guess. I will say this episode, I think more than, I don't know, maybe not more than any other. There might be some in like season 1 and 2 that I'm like not thinking of, but like this might have been like the most uncomfortable the show has made me, because like this is the thing. I watched the show and I'm like, yes, give me more intra penis hole exploration and running into and inside whales and give me more of that stuff. But what made me cringe more than anything was the opening sequence with like young Starlight doing Britney Spears
"Hit Me Baby One More Time."
Because like that's another thing that is close to reality, because child beauty pageants are fucking gross.
Yeah.
And then of course they mirror that with the end of the episode with her
which was Arthur.
the hand, the Arthur. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Homelander, which was also very unsettling. Like it was really creepy to see her. And also like a lot of it is around Starlight, because another very uncomfortable thing was when the Deep shows back up and Homelander's like, yeah, we want him back on the team, and she's like obviously very upset about it, and he's like you mentioned in the last episode, like the little subplots with like those like side members of the Seven, like A-Train and the Deep is like so, it's his I just love at like every scene. He's such a pathetic character that he's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
And that's like it's the perfect way to handle a character who you set up in episode 1 as like a rapist, and like in that sense, like you know, Homelander's the villain, but then the Deep is also this terrible person because he raped Starlight in the first episode, and then it's like, okay, you treat one as like the bad guy, like the villain, and then this other one is just like a pathetic loser.
Who like that the only power he has is anyone under him, but he's like literally so low that it's like he's like a medium-sized fish eating a slightly smaller fish in a big pond with so many more bigger fish than him, that it's like that's literally the only way he can like exhume his power at all, is because he's so low on the totem pole. But that was probably my most uncomfortable part in this episode, was him having to eat the octopus.
That was what I was just gonna mention. That was up there too. Yep, I hated that. that was
awful.
That was the hardest thing I had to watch in the show, I think, was him eating that. And it wasn't even like super graphic. It's just like, it's fucking terrible. Like he's talking about how it has like kids, and how he said, like, as he's like putting it up to his mouth, he says like he's scared or something. I don't know. That was oof. That was rough.
Like the humanizing of like animals, and like the idea of like them having thoughts and feelings, and it's like, oh, I don't want to think about that. But also, that octopus is a little pervert. He's watching him.
I guess. I mean, the Deep was into it too, so I think it was mutual. It's you almost feel bad for the guy, but then it's like, oh no, he deserves. Well, I mean, like, you feel bad for the octopus. I'll say that at least. But yeah, it's a very interesting arc that they're taking the Deep on, because it's like, he starts out as this horrible person, and then he's just brought so low and just like mocked like so much that it's like it's like taking somebody who's like so terrible and then trying to make them like sympathetic, where it's like you almost want to root for him, but then you always have that hook of like this episode reminds you of like what he did, and you know that if he was still in the Seven, if he hadn't kind of fallen out, he would still like be just as bad as the others. It's
like he's not like apologetic because he's actually remorseful. It's because, again, like the show has done throughout his entire run, his PR is bad, and that's what makes him apologetic. And again, I feel like we've talked about it in regards to the show as well, about like the sort of like cultural stuff that it kind of skewers and like has a perspective on. Same thing with the whole corporatization of like Me Too and like sexual assault stuff. The Deep and Starlight are on TV, and she has to give her phony, I forgive you, like that, all that shit. When
so rough.
in the scene prior, like he offers some sort of like peace offering, and she like throws it on the ground, and she's like, yeah, you're the guy who mouth raped me, and then she like storms out of the room. So it's like, obviously she's not forgiving him, but numbers got to go up, and PR is PR, so we have to make it, everything seem like it's, operating as normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just so he's also just good because they kind of like how the show's really good at finding creative ways to like kill people. They find really like creative, creepy, like unsettling ways depicting his powers. Like the show loves, because the Deep is he's a send up to Aquaman, obviously.
Right.
And Aquaman's always been kind of made fun of as like a silly superhero, like, oh, he can talk to fish, that's it. And this show loves exploring like the ins and outs of what a power like that would be. Like that he's like attracted to them too, and I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's mentioned at some point, like someone says something to him about just like, oh yeah, well, we can't have another incident like last year with the dolphins. I think it's implied that like that he has sexual relations with like the animals that he can talk to.
Oh wait, no, I thought that was referencing in the first season when he tried to rescue that dolphin. But then he you don't remember that? He like rescues the dolphin. It's in like the back of the van. It's in that little like sling. And then he like has to slam on the brakes, and the dolphin like flies through the front,
and then gets hit by a truck and explodes. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I remember that now.
I think that's what it was referencing.
Okay.
Was that this episode or the last one with his little like soap opera, his like Lifetime movie with Billy Zane?
Oh. Was that who that was? Who played like? Who played the doctor?
Yeah.
I think that was last episode, but yeah, we didn't talk about it. So yeah, it's like his dramatization of the cult, and yeah, it's like this
whatever that
pseudo drama action movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There wasn't much substance to it. I just thought it was funny. I just want to mention that as another good like he's one of my favorite characters to watch at the very least. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're kind of bringing him back and giving him more to do, because like I feel like in season 1 he basically gets cast aside after assaulting Starlight, and then in season 2 you kind of get like the cult thing that he's doing, but it's still more of like a B or a C plot. But I'm curious to see like if they're going to give him some sort of like redemption arc in this, or, if he's going to come into play and like be helpful or what.
Yeah. That's the thing is like he's a character that like basically after what happens to him in the first season, like he's kind of felt like he's so inconsequential to the plot for the most part. Like, why is he in the show on one hand? And like if he wasn't so entertaining to watch, I would probably just be like, oh my god, why the fuck are they still focusing on this guy? But he is. They do a lot of like fun, like crazy shit with him. And they make fun of him and stuff. So it doesn't feel that way. But when you kind of think of the show as a whole, I do kind of wonder like, what is his purpose other than just like, he's a funny like cutaway or whatever, but like, is he going to play any role in the end game whenever the show decides to end or whatever?
Right. Because it makes me wonder how many seasons of this they're actually going to do. Like if they're going to like try to go through the full story of the comic, or if they're going to kind of do things their own way.
I wonder if that's why these shows do kind of do their own thing so much, because then you could get caught up in a Walking Dead situation where they're like following the comics pretty straight, but then it's like, oh, you're like 4 seasons in and you've done 30 issues of this 150 issue comic, and then they have to like oh, okay, so we're gonna speed up this part and then we're gonna slow down this part, and then it's kind of going back and forth. Where this one, it's like, how much of it's kind of hard to tell, like, how if you're like pairing it next to the comics, like what percentage of that story have they done. It's hard to say, but I think that's a way for the show to be like, if they wanted to end it at season 4, they could be like, yeah, we're good enough, we can do 4. Or I mean, I guess I hope it's a little longer. I'm hoping for like 5 or 6. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Preacher was only 4, but also I don't think Preacher was I think it was well received critically, but I just don't think as many people watched that one.
Yeah. The Boys has a lot more, I would say, crossover appeal, because it does do the superhero thing. It's kind of a send up to your classic superheroes. So I think there's a bit of a gap there, or an overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else we got? I'm a little sweaty, so I'm running out of steam a little bit.
Oh, okay. Also doing 2 of these in a row. Yeah. There's
we don't see a lot of Queen Maeve. Not a lot of Queen Maeve this season.
All this season. Yeah.
She was in the first episode where she helped Butcher find termite.
Yep.
And then we don't really see her. I don't know. I feel like these are all things that are going to come into play later. But yeah, the Homelander Butcher alliance, Queen Maeve helping out Butcher, and then it's like you kind of don't see these things again. And yeah, we haven't seen Queen Maeve in a while.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about that until just now. But yeah. Like, unless there's like crowd scenes where there's like a group 7 thing,
right? Which
I don't even know if that's happened. But like, I don't even know if she's been in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I don't think I saw her. Other than the cartoon depiction of her in her inclusivity castle from the second episode.
Yeah.
I guess I will say that I am excited that they're gonna do the Russia plot. I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they're gonna go for, because I remember it's like a good chunk of the omnibus that I read.
Yeah, I think it's like, I'm pretty sure that's like an arc, and the arcs in the comic series like almost always are like 6 issues. So I'm pretty sure the whole Russia thing is like 6 issues.
Okay.
But also, yeah, I'm wondering, I feel like they're probably going to like do a bit more with it with them going to Russia in the show, because a lot of the arcs in the comic series, just kind of by the nature of comics, is they're just kind of like their own arcs, It's like, here they're going to go to the Russia and they're going to, kill all of these superheroes. And then they're going to go back home, and then, maybe they'll reference it a couple times in the future. But the show feels more like, the show doesn't do that as much. The show is more just kind of like following on the main plot. And I guess that side stuff is, again, like what you get with like the Deep or A-Train, like their little side stories. Those are kind of the more closed in story beats. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I'm enjoying that a lot more this season than I have in previous seasons, because I think sometimes there'd be like the side story with the Deep and like the cult and all that. I didn't hate it, but I was definitely like, yeah, all right, okay, like this is fine, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of feel you.
But I don't know. I feel like the side stories are a lot stronger so far. I'm more interested even in like A-Train in the Deep and like seeing what else they have to do.
Yeah. She just popped right in frame.
Yeah, I left that in the episode when Freya was like chewing up.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was meowing a lot.
The whole time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess since we have like a little bit of time, I'll just throw out another recommendation to when I finished watching these today, I decided to check out Diabolical, the the animated. Have you heard about that? It's the boys animated.
Oh yeah.
It's like an anthology series.
Okay.
And it's pretty good. I was it's nice because the episodes are 15 minutes and there's only 8, so you can get through it in 2 hours, I guess, if you sat down. I'm on episode 6 already, so I'm almost done with it.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it's an anthology thing, so each episode is different. Each episode is like written by different people and animated in a different style, which is neat.
Oh, cool.
The second episode, which I'd have to see which all the ones that I've watched so far. That might be my favorite so far. It's written by Justin Roiland, and
Yeah,
so
I'm looking at that.
That one's done in his style. It looks like Rick and Morty.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then there's another one that looks kind of like old, like Tiny Toons animation. There's one that's like an anime style, which that one was pretty good too. And it's fun because it's they're so short and so non-committal that it is practically just like the over the top ridiculousness of the show. So you're not going to get much of like the deep cutting satire. It's just like, oh, how like violent and ridiculous can we make these cartoons? And it's pretty good. The one that Justin Roiland did it's like it focuses on this group of teenagers, which kind of ties into episode 2, when Huey goes to the adoption center for superpowered
Oh yeah.
like kids. So this one is for like teenagers, so they've been in like the adoption center like their whole lives. And it's follows after like the world finds out about Compound V, and they're like, oh, our parents like signed us up to be test subjects. So the episode is them like breaking out and systematically murdering all of their parents. and they all have like such like ridiculous superpowers that like it's like a perfect episode for someone like Justin Roiland to make up. So like one of them is the human tongue, who's just like a giant like 4-foot tongue who like rolls around. There's a guy who I can't remember, his name's like Caliente or something like that, and he has like superheated testicles, so he can like burn things, but only with his balls. So it's like ridiculous shit. Like, and they all like kill their parents with their superpowers. So that guy, you see him like his father's like on the ground, and you see it's like silhouetted. You see him like take off his underwear, and then his balls like drop, and you see like the steam, and then he like drops him. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, they're all like pretty like light, very graphic, very violent, but I guess lighthearted in a sense.
Yeah.
They're not, not too heavy.
Feels like a children's show, but it's not a children's show.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to throw that in since we had a little extra time.
Yeah.
And it's, we're not going to do like recommend anything, but since it's, it's the boys still.
Yeah, it'll be related to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
all right,
I think with that we're all good. So
yeah,
we will be back, hopefully, presumably on time with episode 4. Hopefully they don't like just release all of them in batches, and this Friday they're gonna do like 4, 5, and 6 or whatever.
God damn it.
Yeah, episode 4 is called Glorious 5-Year Plan, which that's the name of the story arc of when they go to Russia. So
yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll be back for that later this week, I guess. So,
Saturday at some point in time.
at some point, yeah. I'll be yeah. If you stumbled upon this show and you haven't heard our other show, we also do a movie review show called There Will Be Duds. It's in the same feed that this is in, so check it
Try
out.
it.
We
Give it a
review
shot.
movies with at least one other person. And that's it. I don't need to go any more into it. Just
do
check
it.
out. Some of our videos have a lot of views, and we don't know why.
Very silent engagement. Lots of views.
Yes.
No one's really talking about it.
Yes. Yeah. Which is, if we knew that it was because people were actually watching because they liked it, that's in a way like that's the best fan base. Just watch it. Don't say anything. You don't need to
comment.
just
No.
like
No.
just consume and leave. But that's probably not what's happening. It's
No.
probably accidents.